Next time someone offers you a kindness, accept it, because you never know how it can affect even across the globe. And I want to share with you personally a story that can personify this, that just happened a couple of years ago. I survived a mass shooting where a young terrorist breached our synagogue with the intent of killing everyone that was there. Sadly, he killed a very dear member and dear friend of our congregation, Lori Lynn Gilbert K. May she rest in peace. She died as a hero, standing right next to me. And the terrorist turned his AR-15 and shot 4 bullets and severed my 2 index fingers. And otherwise everything else survived. My life was spared as I was saving the children who were behind me when I made that split-second decision to turn around and move and save the children. As I was moving and he shot the 4 bullets, the 2 index fingers got severed. After the shooting, a week later, I get a call from Rabbi Moshe Kotlarsky, who is the chairman of the Chabad Lubavitch movement. And he tells me that he got a phone call from a prosthetic specialist by the name of Shmuel Heifetz, who offered to make for you a prosthetic finger so that I could have a 5th finger that was severed by the terrorist replaced with a prosthetic. And he told me, I don't know if you're interested in that or not, but let me give you the phone number of this young man who wants to donate his services and give you back a finger that the terrorist took away. Honestly, a week after the shooting, I went through surgery and I wasn't even in a mindset to even think about replacing the finger that was severed by the terrorist. But it was that moment that I thought to myself, if someone wants to do me a kindness, why should I deprive them of that? For my own personal feelings at the time, I could have told Rabbi Moshe and say, this is not for me, I'm fine, I'll survive without my 2 fingers, and it's okay, but tell him thank you. But something in me, an instinct in me, told me, if someone is offering you a kindness, accept it. Why deprive that person of a kindness? But I had no idea where this was going to lead. Upon my next trip to New York, I went to visit Dr. Heifetz at his prosthetic office in Canarsie, Brooklyn. I was so thrilled to meet him, and I expressed my gratitude and thanks for him reaching out and offering to provide me a prosthetic finger. I did not share with him any of my reservations that, I just felt it would be superfluous, I'll be fine. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful no other part of my body was injured. And I'm just grateful, missing a couple fingers, I'll live with that. But I did not share that with him. I continued with the same sentiment. If God sent him to me to do something nice, something so altruistic, why should I deprive him of that? And he explained to me the process, that we're going to have to wait for the finger to heal because of the surgery. It took a long time to heal. After the healing, I'll have to come in for several visits of measurements, and then they're going to have an artist put together a mold that's eventually going to be able to produce a life-look prosthetic finger. And thus began an interesting journey. that I would come to New York every few weeks or every other month. Whenever I would travel to New York, I was traveling anyways. So after several consultations and meetings with Dr. Heifetz, he asked me, would it be okay if we could take a picture together, me and him, that he wants to post on the Uppbeat account, that he's treating me as a patient. And I was so thrilled of this young man who is so kind to do this all as a volunteer, that I said, absolutely. So he stood next to me, his partner took a picture of me holding up my fingers and him smiling next to me. And I figured that was just part of the journey. Eventually, I came for my final appointment, where he introduced me to the prosthetic, and it literally was an amazing accomplishment. It's so realistically looking that it was just, he did such a beautiful job. And we took a follow-up picture. That picture went viral. That here is a young doctor who provided the rabbi who lost his finger in a mass shooting with a prosthetic finger that's life looking alike. This was August 2019. It's one of those moments in life that you remember what happens when it happens. With my wife in our car in Brooklyn, when I get a phone call. And the phone call goes as follows. Rabbi Goldstein, my name is Mrs. Galperin. I cannot thank you enough. Because of you, my son has 2 prosthetic legs that for the first time he's able to walk. I cannot thank you enough. And I says, Mrs. Galperin, I don't understand. She says, talk to Dr. Shmuel Heifetz. He will explain everything to you. I just cannot thank you enough. Thank you. And she goes on to send me pictures of her young teenager, 14, 15 years old, who was for the very first time able to walk with 2 prosthetic legs and attend a summer camp for children with special needs, and was able to partake in activities that he was never able to partake before. I still don't see the connection. I still don't understand, what do I have to do with getting prosthetic legs for this woman's son? And as a matter of fact, she said that in about 2 weeks, my son will be finishing his camp session and he'll be in New York. And I says, gosh, I would love to meet him. It's still a mystery. What is the connection of me surviving a mass shooting and getting a prosthetic finger to this young boy? His name is Lazer Galperin, who lives in Israel. What is the connection? What is happening here? All of a sudden, the picture starts to develop. The divine providence starts to come into focus. What happened here? The little boy, Lazer Galperin, was 5 years old. Some 9-10 years ago, when he was in a terrible fire, 85% of his body was burnt. They were able to save him from the fire, but the doctors had little hope for his survival. 85% of his body was burnt. So much so that the Israeli doctors and the best trauma team failed short of being able to be optimistic about saving his life. A group of activists from America heard about the plight of this child, contacted the world's most renowned burn center, I believe either in Connecticut that was, and they chartered a private plane they transformed it into an ICU, and little 5-year-old Lazer Galprin was flown to this burn center where he spent years in rehabilitation and curing. The amount of surgeries he went through, the amount of skin grafts he went through. In the process, he lost both of his legs and one of his hands, but they were able to nurse him back to life. However, to get him to walk was very challenging. They have tried so many different prosthetics. His body would not fit. And he was wheelchair bound. Fast forward 9-10 years. When Shmuel Heifetz, the prosthetic artist, heard of Lazer's plight many years before, he reached out to the activists who was overseeing Lazer's recovery. And they respectfully declined his offer to help, and saying that there is a great institute in Philadelphia who treats the world's greatest prosthetic needs, and he's getting the care he needs. And every time Dr. Heifetz would look an update on Lazer, would see that he's struggling. And every time he would reach out to the activists and say, Rabbi Yitzi, let me try to fit him with prosthetics. And Yitzi would say, Shmuel, you're a startup. You're young, you're new. He's going to the greatest and the most renowned artists who are trying to fit him with his prosthetics. And nothing that Shmuel can do can convince the activists to give him a try at it. Until June of 2019, when Shmuel Heifetz took the picture of him and I standing with my finger like this, and he posted it on his Uppbeat and social media. Yitzi, the head of the activist team, saw the picture and said to himself, the rabbi who was just shot in this terrible terrorist attack, from all the prosthetics specialists he chose Shmuel Heifetz. He must be the one to go to. And Yitzi lifted up the phone and called the specialist Shmuel Heifetz and said, for years I have resisted your help. But after I saw how you helped Rabbi Goldstein recreating his missing finger, I would like you to take Lazer Galprin on as a patient. We have tried so hard with all the different specialists around America, but nothing has been able to work. And sure enough, Lazer flew in from Israel. He met up with Shmuel Heifetz in the same office that I went to. And they sized him up, and they were able to come up with a prosthetic that actually worked for Lazer. With those prosthetics, he was able to attend a camp in the Catskills of New York, Camp Simcha. And I saw the video, and I had tears rolling down my eyes. Here's this youngster who at 5 years old suffered so much, is finally has 2 feet that he could jump over haystacks, climb a ladder, and do these camp activities that could have never been dreamt of. I have a beautiful picture of Lazer's father, Shmulik, Lazer, and myself at the office of Shmuel Heifetz. My loss of a finger gave 2 feet to 15-year-old Lazer Galprin. God bless you. God loves you.